Hi, and greetings from Bloomington, Indiana. I'm Tim Baldwin, co-author of the second edition of an OB book coming out with McGraw-Hill this year, and excited to spend just a few minutes hopefully helping you understand how we see our book differentiates from some of the other books in the OB organizational behavior market today. I want to be honest with you, okay? The reality is there's not much difference between these books in a lot of different ways. We all cover the same content and theories and models and research evidence. And frankly, you don't want to be that different. You don't want to be wildly different because then instructors can't use it in their typical OB class. But there is one big difference, we think, in our book, okay, and it's embodied in our cover where we have a gap. You can see the Iceman here, okay, and we have a large gap that's illustrated there. We specifically like to think of that as the knowing-doing gap, and it's our contention that's the big deal in OB classes, is closing that gap. That is, it's not that hard to get students and aspiring managers to sort of understand or know the concepts, but the hard part is to go from the knowing to the doing. We try to do that in three ways. We try to do it in our content. We don't just want to include models and theories, which we do, and we have all the same that typically are in the very good OB books, both within McGraw-Hill and outside. But we want to go beyond just knowing to the doing. So in our communication chapter, we don't just talk about models of communication. We talked about how to do a good elevator pitch. In our model on teams, we don't just talk about types of teams and different kinds of team decision making. We talk, how do you deal with a free rider? How do you run an effective meeting? We also try to close that knowing-doing gap in terms of perspective. That is, most texts are written sort of in the perspective of the student. Here's a bunch of material, learn it. We try to shift that to say, let's take the perspective of decision makers, managers and individuals and organizations making decisions. So it's not just about leadership and models of leadership. It's about how would you lead if you were asked to lead in a new Best Buy store or a soccer team or an audit function, okay? And we also try to close that gap in terms of style. Having taught this now for 25 years, and I know I speak for Bill Bommer and Bob Rubin, my co-authors, we find it increasingly difficult to get students excited about a big, fat, jumbo textbook and a very formal style. In their tech world, in their iPad world, it's got to be short and punchy and concise, and we try to do that in the writing style of the book. So that's the essence of what we think is the only really significant difference. But we think it is a significant and important one in our book, is trying to close that gap. As a final point, I'd like to reach out to you is that my wife was formerly a McGraw-Hill book representative, and I know how important it can be to have a little help in terms of answering questions or writing a note or sending an email, making a phone call to a potential adopter. And I'd like to reach out to you folks, okay, is that we'd be not only tolerant of that, we'd be eager to help you in any way that we can. I also want to shout out to Colin Kelly in the Philadelphia area and Rob Jared in Indianapolis, who have been wonderful, exponents and get our first edition, and I think could be a great resource to you as well. We got a great editorial team, and Johnny Weinmeister and Jane Beck. We're very excited about the book coming out. If we can help you in any way, please let us know. Happy holidays to you, and let's have a great sales season.